The Spurs season is just right around the corner. Let's project our Spurs death lineup.
You are Locked On Spurs, your daily San Antonio Spurs podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, this is Chris Sabat, and you're listening to Locked On Spurs with Jeff Garcia.
Welcome back to Locked On Spurs, right on the Locked On NBA Network. I'm your host, Jeff Garcia, Spurs writer for Ken's 5 San Antonio. I am glad to have you back. Hope everybody's having a great Tuesday. We'll get you through the workday right here on Locked On Spurs, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Find us on Instagram, the Ken's 5 Plus app. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on every pickup platform. We're there, Google Play, Stitcher, iTunes, the list goes on and on. You guys are the everydayers, and we thank you for coming here every single day. Hey, what are we talking about today? We're going to project our Spurs death lineup. Sure, you have the traditional lineup that I think everybody knows now. Wemby at the 4, Collins at the 5, Devin Keldon, who's the GOAT. But what is our curveball? What is that death lineup that the Spurs can trot out there and really just wreak havoc on opposing teams? And then we'll catch you up with some Spurs news and notes. The Spurs signed a couple of new players. Who are they? We'll dive into that in just a few minutes with our guest, my colleague at Ken's 5 San Antonio, Casey Viera. But before we bring on Casey, it's time to have some fun, huh? Almost there, right? Can you imagine what we're about to see in just a few short weeks, not months, weeks now? Wemby running the floor. Keldon coming off the bench or not. Devin, maybe he'll make that next leap with 100% health on his side. Sohan, will he be the one to make the biggest leap next season? There's so many storylines that's going to make next season so much fun. I am ready for it. But the one thing I don't think anybody's ready for is the ripple effect. Is how will the city react to what is about to happen? Tim Duncan pushed away the spotlight. He didn't want it. David Robinson was the closest you got to a Spurs star that accepted the limelight. And then, of course, Kawhi, well, we want to get into that. But Wemby, this is a whole other beast the Spurs and the city of San Antonio are about to encounter. I try to tell myself every single day, am I ready for the mass hysteria that's coming to San Antonio? I don't think I am. There's going to be so much to look forward to. The Spurs, the city of San Antonio on the national spotlight. Your favorite players outside of Wemby, if it's Keldon or Devin, how are they going to fit in now there's a potential megastar on the Spurs roster? What will you do as a Spurs fan, knowing that everywhere you go and you're rocking your Wemby jersey, some fan is going to ask you, what do you think was going on? And what are you going to deal with? And how are you going to deal with the criticism that might come to Wemby if he doesn't live up to that very high bar that is being set for him? It's going to be wild. Brace yourself. It is coming, and it is coming fast. Media days around the corner. Preseason's around the corner. Training camps around the corner. The Spurs, we're going to talk about in a while, signed to 2 more players over there, maxed out at their roster now. Who's going to make it? So it's been a while since the Spurs have had this. The last few years have been pretty lean, especially last season. But here it is. So the storm is coming. It's a good storm. Sure, there's some bad side effects to this. The high ticket prices. If Wemby doesn't live up to those high bar standards that are being set. And of course, the Spurs, they can be able to handle the whirlwind. Imagine it's a PR department. They're probably getting knocks on their door right now for Wemby to come on X, Y, and Z show. So, wow. And I'm an old guy. I've been with the Spurs since they were in the ABA and they made their way to San Antonio. Never have I experienced this. So for those who are nerds like me, I feel like Cup from Transformers 1986 movie, where here's an old robot warrior who's seen everything in his long history, and he sees a gigantic, massive robot called Unicron, in this case, Wemby, and the younger Transformer Autobots ask him, Cup, wow, you've probably seen this before. And the line he says that all the us nerds remember was, nope, I've never seen anything like this in my life. So that's how I feel right now. We're going to ask our guest if he feels the same way. Let's go to bring him on. He is Casey Viera, my colleague at Ken's 5 San Antonio. Hey, Casey, I nerded out right now. I had to, man. I had to get out of my system.
Yeah, I mean, might as well. Any
I mean,
any window of opportunity you do that, you have to.
Casey, are you really shocked that I went there? I mean, is anybody
No,
really shocked? No,
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 not at all.
no, not at all. He is Casey Viera. Follow him on Twitter at Casey_Viera. Again, he is my colleague at Ken's Five. He holds it down the sports anchor desk every weekend. He'll tell you what he has cooking outside of the Spurs. Yeah, Cowboys, high school football. Casey's doing it all for Ken's Five. So make sure you check him out. But Casey, welcome back. It's been a minute, brother, but scheduling. Unfortunately, everybody, Casey could not get onto a video today. He's at work. We got to respect that. So we worked with him and we did an audio show. But we're just glad you're back, Casey.
No, I'm back home. I'm just being honest. My office where I do it, it's messy. I can't. Listen, man. When you're married, everything you do is it's a representation for for everyone. If I go up here, my office is a little bit messy, and I got Spurs Twitter commenting on it. It's like an indictment. People think I'm just failing as a person all the way around. It affects two people. I can't. It's not fair to her. I
And
can't.
plus, you don't want to let everybody know, like perhaps the Casey Casey Viera Manor gets a little in disarray from time to time.
Matters
It's a little messy. All right, Casey. Again, welcome back, everybody. We'll be back doing video likely tomorrow, but so just forgive us for today. But we're gonna have a fun topic today, and Casey, I believe he liked this idea, so we're gonna roll with this. The death lineup, and I was started with I was thinking about the Warriors. Remember the death lineup years? Oh, trot this person out, unstoppable. Yeah. Of course, that's the Warriors. The Spurs are not there yet, but what would be the equivalent of that for this current roster? Now, I gave my cards away before we hit record. Casey was a little upset about that. He told me you wish I didn't tell him my death lineup. So, Casey, do you mind if I go first, even though you're the guest?
No, go for it.
All right. So, the game here, everybody, is not to trot out the traditional or what we expect, the obvious one. Your Wemby, your Collins, Trey Jones. I'm trying to throw a wrinkle in this. What would be that one or two players that would really just surprise everybody and be like, you know what? That would work. That would be a lineup that could possibly work as far as the starting five. So, on that note, Casey, here we go. So, no surprise here. I'm going to go with Wemby at the 4. No surprise here. I'm going to go with Collins at the 5. There's some debate, Keldon or Devin starting in that 4 position. I'm going to go with Devin. Point guard, I'm going to go with Trey Jones. And here's my wrinkle. I'm going to start Doug McDermott simply for that 3-point shooting. I think that would be a good wrinkle, good, kind of to throw off balance opposing defenses, opposing teams. I think McDermott plus Wemby in the paint, that could open up some big time space for your Devins, for your Trey Jones, possibly for your Zach Collins too. He is quite a mobile big. I think that would be a really scary lineup, and that would just really fool opposing defenses into thinking like, oh my God, you know what, this could cause some problems. Your thoughts?
I actually have a question first.
Go ahead.
So when are we playing the death lineup here? Like, are we calling a death lineup a lineup that you're throwing out there for the last 4 to 5 minutes of the game? Are you calling it a death lineup? Just for the sake of, having it out there and you're putting it in the second quarter?
Yeah, it's just one of those fun, just one of those lineups that whether the Spurs are down or up or they just need to put away a team.
Okay.
What would be that lineup for you?
Somewhere in there is a joke about all the losing, and you can call it a death lineup. It's like, oh, this is the lineup we put out there for our last gasp before we lose. Is that
pretty much
the definition of a death lineup?
Yeah, this is to prevent the death of the Spurs lineup.
Got it.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. Okay. I like that you put Collins in there because so much of, and understandably so, of today's NBA has been about small ball. Everybody needs to shoot small ball a little bit. Yeah. But I think, as was the case with the NBA Finals last year, as was the case in the FIBA tournament this year, I think size is coming back into the equation here.
Mhm.
And we saw it with Jokic, and we saw Team USA get exposed a little bit in the postseason. And the fact that Collins is in there, I kind of speaks to the way that, we might need to be adapting a little bit
Mhm.
more traditionally now. So I also had that front court of Collins and
Mhm.
Wemby in mind as well. I'm not trying to get too cute and get away from the norm.
Mhm.
I still want the sell. I still like my chances with Keldon Johnson.
Right.
You put those two cards in my hand, I'm feeling pretty good about things. I know at this point we're a little void of shooting.
Mhm.
So who am I putting out there at
Well,
point guard?
go
I'm
ahead. I'm
putting out
sorry.
there. I'm putting out there the guy who's just as much void of shooting, Jeremy Sohan.
Okay, you know what? But going back to my lineup though,
Yeah.
the reason why I shifted McDermott in there is
Okay.
because the Spurs definitely have if they go with that expected lineup to start the season, your Sohan, Trey Jones, Devin or Keldon, what have you, that's still a team light on outside perimeter threat. And I think
Right.
McDermott thrown in there could really shake things up. Be he's okay. He might get you a couple. I think defenses will sag on a Keldon. They might sag on no, they probably will sag on Sohan. Um, and I think moving Sohan and keeping Keldon on the bench really boost that Spurs second unit. Because if you go with my lineup, off the bench you'll have Keldon and Sohan, but then you
Right.
also have guys, like Branham, who could possibly be a one to watch next season. You have Devontae Graham, some offensive firepower off that Spurs bench. So to me, shifting McDermott just really helps with the one area the Spurs, as of right now, still have an issue with, and that's perimeter shooting, Casey.
Right. My thing is, though, that's a collective thing for this team,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not willing to sacrifice that defensive spot
Yeah.
for putting McDermott out there
Mm-hmm.
because as much as he spaces the floor, he's a liability. And if I'm out there and I have a team of, Sohan Vassell, Keldon, Victor, and Collins, largely for the most part, you can switch and rotate and have four of those five guys, and depending who's out there with Collins, a lot of those guys can switch on to everybody else. And I'm taking my chances on the defensive side of things to get me through it. Well, when I'm talking about the death lineup, I'm thinking, okay, this is the bunch that if this is out there in the last 5 minutes of a game to close things out here, I feel pretty good about. And I feel pretty good about having a team that can do things like that on the defensive end. Now, that shooting is going to be an issue. I'll be the first to tell you that. It is going to be an issue. But the only problem is I'm not willing to sacrifice on the defensive side of things for
Mm-hmm.
it because the alternative would be, like you said, McDermott. The
Mm-hmm.
alternative is Trey Jones. That's not going to make
Right.
your shooting any better. It might help with the facilitating, and I
Sure.
think that was kind of the alternative to what I felt with putting Sohan in there over him. Yeah, you might take a hit in the facilitating, but listen, on the defensive end, you're just that much better.
Yeah.
If
Well,
anything,
yeah.
real quick. If anything, I think if you could find a way, the guy who I was kind of hung up on was putting Malachi Branham in there for Keldon, kind of along the same lines that you had McDermott in there for. I think I trust my hand better with Branham defensively and Branham's athleticism
Mm-hmm.
a little bit more than I do with McDermott. I don't think that will happen. I think Keldon and Vassell and Victor are three locks on the floor
Yeah.
to close out every game, regardless of who the other two guys are. I think those three guys are locks, for a
He is.
myriad of reasons. But yeah.
Oh, he is Casey Viera with Ken's 5 San Antonio. Follow him on Twitter at Casey_Viera. When we get back, we're going to dive into a little bit more about my lineup. As then we're going to get into Casey's death lineup. and more. And again, catch up some Spurs news and notes that you might have missed right here on Locked On Spurs. Get ready for the NFL season with incredible offers from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV. Now is the best time to join FanDuel. The app is easy to use. You can bet on everything from spreads to player props and more, including futures. NBA season right around the corner. Your Spurs are right around the corner. Go see what those player props could be. What are those futures? Can the Spurs get that win total that Vegas thinks? What about the play-in tournament? Go check it out using the FanDuel app. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon and kick off the NFL season with an offer you don't want to miss. FanDuel, the official partner of the NFL. And we're back right here on Locked On Spurs with Casey Viera, my colleague at Ken's 5. He is the weekend sports anchor, and we're talking all things silver and black. Hey, Casey, should we give them a heads up right now that we're going to have a Spurs special coming up soon?
Why not?
Sure. You're going to be able to see me and Casey and the rest of our sports crew covering all things Spurs very soon, so keep an eye on that. Casey, I'm going to probably try to avoid everything. No, actually, I'm not. I'm going to try to nerd. I'm going to try to throw in a nerd reference during our taping.
Okay.
Exactly. See, nobody's shocked anymore. Nobody's shocked. Yeah, everybody. Yeah, okay, that's just what he does. Yeah. So
sweet.
Anyway,
what do you want my reaction to that to be?
Your reaction is going to be like, so not surprised. So no, your reaction will probably be like, I'm trying to pretend I'm surprised, Jeff. I'm going to fake it. But we're talking about the Spurs death lineup. What would be a good lineup to throw out there if the Spurs are down and they need to have a comeback, if they need to put a team away? What would be that lineup? So I gave you my lineup to start. Casey, go over your lineup one more time, please.
We are going with Sohan, Vassell, Keldon, Big Fella, and who did I say? Collins.
Okay, now that lineup is likely the one that the Spurs probably will start.
You think that's the starting lineup opening night?
I think so. I think that's it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, I think that's it. But you're going to have a very expensive six-man, Keldon Johnson. But I think that's it. Look, I like your lineup because it has a little bit of everything. It has a lot of defense. And it has some offense, mainly from Devin and Wemby in particular. But I like your lineup. It's good. It just so your bench is going to be what? Malachi, probably, right? Now Malachi's coming off that bench. Devontae's coming off your bench. Who else is coming off your bench? Mamu's coming off your bench. Champagne,
Trey Jones,
and Trey Jones. Is that enough, though? I mean, don't you feel like this Spurs unit is a little top heavy right now?
I mean, what's the standard here? Is it enough for a championship? No. I mean, if this is kind of the issue we step into when we're picking death lineups. You got to be winning a lot of basketball games first. Be killing these teams down the home stretch to introduce them to their death when you're going out there winning 22 games. Was it 20? Yeah, 22 games last year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it kind of, there's not really a whole lot of cards in the hand to play with. I'm trying to work with what I got here.
Yeah.
I want my five best players out on the floor. If the bench takes a hit, whatever. Right now where they at, I need my best guys on the floor, and I'll take my hand and deal with it, and I'll worry about the bench later.
I mean, you do, yeah, and in your lineup, you still have McDermott coming off the bench. So again, a solid veteran, to help out your second unit. So it just feels like everything's really going to hinge on that Keldon Devin thing right now. Who starts? Yeah, and I mean, do you think the Spurs will really put a very pricey six-man on the bench, coming off the bench?
No,
I mean, it doesn't feel like it, right?
No.
Man.
I don't think so. I think their best lineup
that they can put out there is probably the one I said. But
Mhm.
I think the lineup that's going to opening night, what you're going to see, I think you're going to see Trey Jones, Keldon, Vassell, Sohan, and Wembanyama at the 5.
Okay.
My
right.
gut. I think that's what you see opening night.
Yeah. I like. Look, this team is still young. Very young. Yes, they got Wemby, and that really boosts them up. But I think when you're looking at, especially Devin and Keldon, can we say they're not young kids anymore? Are we allowed, even though by age they are, but by NBA standards, can we forget that? Like, shouldn't they just be? We are the vets now. None of this young vet. None of this. We're still young. I'm really going to need to see KJ and Devin really step up on that department, Casey.
I think so. I think that's
Yeah.
fair, especially Keldon.
Yeah.
But, I mean, Keldon, we're going into year 5 of this thing.
Yep.
I think so. I mean, we're starting to get to the point in the league where you kind of, I don't want to say you are what you are at this point, but kind of are what you are at this point. I think collectively we all know Keldon isn't going to be an MVP candidate, or who knows, even an all-star, but he's good for what you're getting. Yeah. Will he continue to get better? Yeah. But is he going to be elite? No. I don't think, well, he is the highest paid player on the team. And I think that's going to be part of the reason he will be starting. If he isn't, I don't think he's immune to that. And I don't think there's an egregious level to it, because while he is the highest paid guy, it's still a reasonable deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And look,
if he were to come off the bench.
Right. If you come off the bench. Do you look, I mean, at this point, this is a team that's not going to be having river parades come June, but
right.
I also feel that there's this franchise, and even next season, you can probably still get away with playing lineups. Like, I think that's fair. It's not like, oh, we need to stick with this. This has got to get better. I think there's going to come a point next season where they're going to say, you know what, let's try this. And like, if there is some crazy losing streak, or like winning 2-3 in a row, losing 2-3-4 in a row, you're going to mix it up. Can the Spurs still get away with that this season?
I think so.
Yeah.
There's no expectation. This is what it's all about. And if we're being honest, they kind of need to. It's especially when it comes to the Keldon and Vassell thing. It's like the same issue that they had a few years ago with the Derek White, Lonnie Walker, DeJounte Murray, where they had too many of the same guys kind of deal. And ironically enough, all of them are gone now. But there was always kind of one of those things where one or two had to be moved in order to balance things out, and they did that. But now it's kind of fallen into the same, I don't want to say trap, because that's a little strong, but kind of same conversation a little bit with Keldon, Vassell, and Jeremy Sohan. I think that's more compatible to mix and match with those three than it was, comparatively speaking, to Derek White and DeJounte Murray, where your two best players doing basically the same thing, for the most part, the same kind of player. But I think it's something that they're going to have to come across.
Yeah.
We're trying things in order to make it work, to get all three of those guys on the floor at all times, whether that means you play big with Sohan at the point, or play smaller with Sohan or Keldon at the 4, and then you have Trey Jones running point with Victor at the 5. It's going to be a conversation, but that's what this year is all about. Just like it was about figuring out what you have, it's entirely different this year, because you're seeing what works with Victor. And if that combination of those three guys, in which iteration they're out there, if it doesn't work with Victor, well, they're moving on. That's the other thing. It's figuring out how they mesh with him. And if they have these games where things are, not going the way they do, and they get the idea of that, hey, let's try something else, they're going to do that, like they should do.
And I think still this upcoming season is still a message to everybody not named Victor that you guys are still kind of on the bubble still, because we're revolving everything moving forward, not only next season, like 23-24 season, but beyond that. If we got to shift some things around, we still have to. So it's
Mm-hmm.
still like, hey, Keldon, hey, Trey, McDermott, if y'all don't fit in and you're not playing the right way with Victor, and if Victor's not happy, what Victor wants, Victor's going to get, and you got to go, you got to go. So, and I think that's what a lot of these players outside of Wemby have to still keep in mind, that this is still a team in rebuild mode. I said it before on Locked On Spurs. Maybe it's not capital letters REBUILD. Maybe it's just lowercase and small font, but it's still a rebuild nonetheless. So, but it's going to be fun. I'll tell you that much. It's really going to be fun next season, seeing the lineups out there. If the Spurs are going to kind of, just discover a lineup that really gets things going in the right direction. Again, I know I slotted in McDermott. I needed that perimeter shooting to be addressed, especially in the starting unit. And I just like that spacing. I like that spacing between him and Wemby that he can create for the other players in my lineup. Like Devin, like Trey Jones, and even Zach. Zach loves to play around that rim, and he can't shoot that outside J. He can make it. So I like that lineup, and I like your lineup, and I want to hear what the fans have to say. What do you think about us talking about what could be possibly a Spurs quote unquote death lineup, all things considered? What is your favorite lineup you'd like to see the Spurs play with next season? Let Casey know on Twitter at Casey_Viera. Let me know on Twitter at Jeff G Spurs Zone. When we get back, we're going to catch up with some Spurs news and notes. Spurs signed a couple of new players. Who are they? Hey, I want to talk to you about Jace Medical. You got to get Jace Medical right now. Go to their website, the Jace Case. You want to get that. Provides 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. All it takes to get a Jace Case is to fill out a simple online form. In some cases, jump on a quick call with one of their board-certified physicians, and you're good to go. Get ongoing care from their physicians on any treatment-related questions. Doctor created, doctor recommended. So look, don't be caught unprepared. Everyone should be empowered to take care for themselves and their loved ones during the unexpected. Jace handles everything from online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. I already ordered my Jace case. I cannot wait for it to get here, and I'm pretty sure Jace Medical will work for me once I get it. Look, with storm shortages, pandemics, reliance on China, and supply chain issues, you need to be prepared now more than ever. That's where Jace comes in. Jace Medical is simple. You go online, you fill out a form, then you get a prescription, life-saving medications right to your door. The Jace case gives you peace of mind so that you are not just hoping that you have access to medication in an emergency. Jace Medical makes sure you have the medication in hand. Save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using my code Locked On at checkout at jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. But before we do that, I want to talk to you about Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee, local proud sponsor and the first of Locked On Spurs. You want to go there right now if you're in San Antonio, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. That's the Stone Oak area, 211604. They got everything, dairy alternatives. They got the OG, which is the Orange Julius recreated once again only at Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. They got the Alien. Hey, we're talking about the Spurs, right? Go get the Alien drink. It's a drink made in honor of Victor Wembanyama's arrival. It's a full can of Red Bull, kiwi, apple, all mixed together. It tastes delicious. And they got the new Sub-Zero drink in honor of Frank Harris of UTSA. Go get it right now. Everybody says that all those signature drinks are great, but every single drink at Mudslingers is awesome. They have caffeine-free drinks. They have their signature drink, which is called the Mudslinger. They have mini donuts. They have new flavors coming out each and every day, it feels like. You don't want to miss out. Go to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee. Over 300 5-star reviews. Cannot be wrong at all. Casey has a lot of their gear because he's a big fan of them. He has t-shirts. He has mugs. You might as well just become the next spokesperson for Mudslingers, Casey.
I know. I was. I think I was next in line for the collab, but then Frank Harris had to get in the way.
The KCV drink. Who knows?
Yeah.
You might get the KCV drink soon. Because that's one thing I like about Mudslingers. They really involve the community. You know, the OG drink. That's actually, they allowed me to name it. The Sub-Zero, Frank Harris. They had another just a fan of theirs just name a drink made in honor of the Brahmas. So, Casey, you might be next. We might see. Give me the Casey. That's what people are gonna say when they go to the drive-through. Mudslingers, can we have the Casey? Yeah, thank you. The Casey is just gonna be pure gasoline octane to get you through your day.
Yeah, see that might as well. That's probably why I haven't gotten offered that yet, because they know my drink. It's basic. What's the novelty of getting a cold brew with oat milk? I'm basic with this stuff. You know, they like some innovation over there. If I came back with something over the top, you know, Thomas over there, he's a forward thinker. He's trying to maximize the product, so I get it, but that's just the impasse we come across. You know, I'm hard-headed with my coffee. Too many bells and whistles. I know there's a market for that. That's not necessarily, you know, my market. I just need my coffee in the morning. I need it good. Just put a little oat milk in there. I'm not a psychopath, so I don't drink it black like a lot of people do in the TV world. But we'll figure it out.
Yeah, exactly.
That's my
I'll get a hold of
2024 resolution to have our friends at Mudslingers give me a coffee. I don't know if it's going to happen.
I'll get hold of Thomas and say, like, can we get the KCV drink going? He goes, okay, what do you want to call it? Let's just call it boring. Like, that's the name of it. Just boring. Can we have the boring, please? Like, oh, you mean the Casey? Yeah, it's right up, sir. But if you want to...
As long as I'm getting paid, call it whatever you want.
Go to Mudslingers Drive-Thru Coffee right now. Open every day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Once again, 2404 Thousand Oaks Drive. On Threads, on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok. I mean, they are everywhere. I'm sorry, it's X now. I'm still not there yet. I'm still trying to get it. It's on X. So, nevertheless, they are found at Mudslinger, SATX. Make sure to go there right now. They are the best coffee in San Antonio. Life is too short for bland coffee. All right, let's go and wrap up this episode of Locked On Spurs. Catch up some Spurs news and notes. And I know Casey's going to flex his artistic side because Central San Antonio put the call out. They want all artists to give their best Spurs-themed mural for a mural in downtown San Antonio. Casey, if whoever wins that contest gets $100,000, I believe. Let me just double check on that. Basically, they get a lot of money, Casey. That's what it comes down to.
$100,000?
$100,000. Yeah, $100,000. That is insane.
Figures.
I'm reading it right now from their press release. Yes, their honorarium for the Spurs theme mural will be $100,000.
Listen, you know my dad's an artist. My dad lives up in the Northeast.
You're flying your dad down right now.
Yeah, we're going to get him on a flight down here. We're going to find a blank wall somewhere in the city.
Yeah.
Probably going to get fined for vandalism for whatever.
Sorry, y'all be able to afford it. Yeah.
Yeah. We're going to paint all these people's walls, and we're going to get that $100K, baby.
All right. In other Spurs news, there's a new
that's my second New Year's resolution after getting my Mudslingers drink.
There's a new Victor Wembanyama mural in San Antonio. This time it's in downtown San Antonio. It's at Mark's Outing. It features Wemby in a Spurs white jersey, and they did a mashup, Casey. It's the Eiffel Tower and the Tower of Americas alongside Casey, and then on Wemby, excuse me. Behind him, yeah, Casey's got a mural, everybody, and behind him is a French flag. So there's another mural for your bingo card if you're a mural enthusiast in San Antonio. Murals are everywhere in San Antonio. If you've never been here, you cannot escape a neighborhood where there's not a popular spot, whether it be on the south side at Rudy's Restaurant, downtown at Mark's Outing, Casey Viera's house when his dad comes over to practice painting for that mural to get that $100,000.
The HOA has sent me many letters about the mural on my garage.
You can never escape San Antonio without coming across a mural. So go check that out. Information can be found at kens5.com/Spurs. And finally, Casey, the Spurs have added a couple more players. The roster is full. You have, I believe, Toledo Cedric Milner, who signed a two-way deal. That is the final two-way spot for the Spurs. And I believe they offered an Exhibit 10 deal to a guard. Let me get that name for you. Here we go. Javonte McCoy. So we basically got training camp fodder, Casey. That's pretty much it.
Pretty much. Those are going to be the guys on the printout this year, like last year. Remember last year with the printout because nobody knew who anyone was.
I remember that. People were like question marks, But look, they got to trim the roster down to 18 by the start of the regular season. So there's 2 of them right there.
Yep.
Can you imagine getting signed onto a team, but you know where your direction's going? That you're going to be waived.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you got your foot in the door at that point, kind of like anything else, right? And that's more all you could really ask for. And if it works, it works. I mean, look at Julian Champagny.
That's true.
Works for him.
That's true. Yeah.
It's as long as you're going forward, you're not going backwards.
Both players were undrafted. Now, if the name Milner sounds familiar, he has been on the Spurs Summer League squad as well as with the Austin Spurs. So he's a returning guy. And good luck to them. I believe with Milner, the Spurs are likely hoping that he'll develop the outside shot that he demonstrated at Toledo. Again, trying to address that outside shot. That's why my lineup works, Casey. And much more. If you want to check that all out, it is at kens5.com/Spurs. We are up against the clock, so we got to give Casey his time to tell us what is cooking on the sports desk over at Kens5. What's going on, Casey?
Oh, what's going on? Let me think.
Everything.
Every Sunday we're going on late at 10:30 because, we have our 3:25 national game that everyone loves to see. We have that going on. What else do we have going on? We got high school football, Friday nights, of course, where you want to be on the program. What else we got going on? Basically dotting I's, crossing T's to get us ready for Spurs stuff, right?
Oh man, let me ask, are you ready for what's about to happen? I don't think I am.
Between that and having a child, I think I've been asked that question quite a lot in many contexts, to which both I say no.
No. And
every time you think you're ready, something else pops up. You're like, oh.
Yeah, I don't have kids, so it's just really just take care of myself. But
yeah,
I can only imagine with you with a child and holding it down on the weekends, plus a new first-time father. Woo, Casey, you got a lot going.
It's been busy in the Viera household these days. It's
the Viera Manor with the soon-to-be mural courtesy of your dad.
Manor. Yeah, yep. We're the big one with the big mural of Jeff Garcia's face on our garage.
Yeah, going like time to nerd out. That'll be the caption.
Right. You want to know what our buddy Tom Petrini said to me the other day? Not the other day. This was actually on draft night. The infamous video that was going around.
Oh yeah,
that of us at the bar, not just he and I, but many of folk at the bar celebrating.
Yeah.
That night, he goes, his initial, because that was the night I told him that my wife and I were expecting, and so he acted accordingly in a very expressive way, like Tom does. And then the pick hits, everyone's celebrating, and he comes over to me. He's like, "Your kid's gonna have a generational talent to grow up with for the rest of his life."
Oh, well, yeah, that is true. That is true.
Yeah, and I was like, that is true. One, but two, why is that the first thing that's coming out of your mouth?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Spurs got Wemby. Yeah. You're worried about this. Yeah.
Listen, I appreciate it, but that's something that I would say. It was very Tom.
So that is a Tom thing, but again, he is Casey Viera with Kens5. Make sure to check him out on television throughout the weekend, Thursday through Sunday. Is that correct, Casey?
Football season right now. I'm what am I? Saturday, Sunday.
You're Saturday. Okay. He's Saturday and Sunday. Make sure to check him out and follow him on Twitter at Casey_Viera. Thanks for making Locked On Spurs your first listen each and every day. Available on iTunes, Spotify, Twitch. Pick up platforms, Stitcher, YouTube. We are everywhere. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. You guys are the everydayers. We'll be back soon. More Wemby talk, more getting you ready for the upcoming season, and possible a collab with Locked On Rockets this week. brace yourself, everybody. Rockets fans could be invading Locked On Spurs. But for Casey Viera, I am Jeff Garcia. We're going to put a lock on this episode of Locked On Spurs.